Irashamase!
Hey!
Hey guys, I'm Diego.
I'm JT.
I'm Carlos, and we got producer San Ev on the keys over here.
Hey, how's it going?
So this is another episode of Bowl of Men.
Yeah.
Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody.
So picture this, guys. Nighttime's out and about, summertime's come around finally.
Nice and hot.
We're out, everybody's out in the woods. Besides, we want to do a campfire, sitting around the fire, and we start telling spooky stories.
Spooky ghost stories to tell
Scary
in the
stories
dark.
to tell in the
Yeah.
dark. that was a
Without my
comedy.
book.
That was a comedy.
You get the vibe that there's something.
But instead
Lurking
of toasting
around.
marshmallows, we have a nice hot bowl of ramen.
Nice.
Ramen.
So the feel. You got something creeping in the back that you can't quite catch in the dark.
It's
my
actually
hand.
Carlos.
Yeah.
So, anyways, talking about scary and horror anime. to be
Yeah,
more
so this is
specific.
gonna be the
Horror
Bowl of
slash
Men horror
Thriller,
edition. Yeah.
whatever,
So that's actually something I want to bring up, like right off the top, going into this. I guess I should mention. Hit us up at Twitter at Bowl of Men.
And our
Shameless
email.
plug.
Yeah, shameless
Shameless
plug.
plug.
And our email.
And our email, bowlofmen@gmail.com. But yeah, so my thing with horror anime, and it's so with horror as a genre, like talking about like regular movies, right? I don't like them because there are very few that are actually scary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
right?
Yeah.
Totally.
More of them
Definitely.
just use jump scares, right?
Definitely.
They just kind of like they take cheap shots, and I hate it. Like I don't like them. There's very few that actually take the time and establish that sense of dread, right? And so I can't remember which one of y'all I was talking to about it. I don't know if it's like the disconnect because it's like anime, like
Oh, it was
cartoon
me.
characters
Yeah,
and stuff
that's
like that.
That's what I was bringing up. Because, scary movies, they're real, like people, and it's like you'll see like this realistic looking beast, monster, like, murder, maniac, whatever.
Yeah, and it's easy to kind of like oh,
Picture
that could be
yourself.
me.
Yeah.
Like that could happen right now to me.
Mm-hmm. So it's like you get that sensation of like fear in yourself, like you're watching this and you're like, oh, you're just scared,
Yeah.
But like Carlos was saying, like with anime, it's just like it's a cartoon.
Yeah,
it's
harder
to connect. It's like sure, it's like wow, that's pretty wild, man. It's wild, but it's like
Yeah,
but in the
anime-
end, it's just like you brush it off because it's like
Anime is definitely able to take a little more bigger leaps in logic than in an actual horror
and
setting.
then I would say it's like what normally is like their strong point in making like fantasy worlds and doing all this stuff because they can just animate it, right? They can just draw it.
They
It's
can do
there.
whatever.
They don't have to like spend millions of dollars on CGI and stuff like it's like they can just draw it. But I think that's also like a shortcoming. Like that's kind of a flaw in what they have to work with.
yeah,
Just because like there is that like it's just,
disconnect.
yeah. So with that being said, these anime on the list, they are considered horror.
Yeah, they had the tag
It's
horror.
a tag horror, but not once was
I wouldn't consider them
scared.
horror.
Yeah,
It's
so
like thriller,
it's really funny
Yeah,
because
yeah.
horror. I think they take horror more as of a gore show than it really is anything like scary. Just because that was kind of a big theme I saw with all the horror animes,
Right.
or at least the majority of them was just like in place of like actual scary like tension and stuff like that. Most of these usually they usually try to replace it with like gory, just kind of like sinister vibes more than anything.
Yeah, and I know a big one is like sound design,
Mm-hmm.
and so that's kind of what I was looking out for whenever I was watching these, because that's what I judge horror movies, like regular horror movies, on is like their sound design.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I knew that I wasn't going to be scared going into this, like quote unquote scared. So that's kind of, I was just like, oh, well, I'll break it down like another way. I'll, put it under the same knife that I do like a normal horror movie. And some of them are pretty good. I got some notes on them.
All right, Carlos, let's talk about the ones we watched or
yeah,
what we're gonna be talking about.
So we got, what do we want? First up, we got
The Promised
Neverland.
Yeah.
So now this is one I remember last year when it came out. Our friend Josiah had been telling me about it,
Mm-hmm.
and he was just going on and on about it, like, oh man, it's so good. It's like they hit you with a lot of things, and I had been reading on the internet about it, and overall, I've heard nothing but good things about it.
Yeah.
And so going in, I had like the high expectation, I guess, of just like a good anime, not a horror anime, but just a good anime.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny, Carlos, because my friend Josiah was also telling me to watch this anime, last year. And I also heard good things about it. I heard great things about it.
I was like, did he say something else to you?
I heard great things about it, and I'm like, yeah, I'll watch it. I told him, like, I kept telling him I'll watch it, but like during that time, I was just trying to watch like, hidden gems, out there. I'd spend like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, or even an hour just trying to find like one anime,
Yeah.
So it's like I never really took the time to like watch Promised Neverland because I really wasn't looking to watch those like seasonal animes.
So I mean, what's your thought on it? I mean, you watched it, so.
Oh, well, I went into this anime not reading the synopsis, not knowing anything about it.
You just went in blind, just.
Yeah, I saw the first episode and I'm like, all right, this is cool. Then like episode ends, it takes a twist, as most, I guess, horror thriller animes do, because it's like thriller horror.
That's how they get you. I feel like instead of like hitting you with the jump scares, it's more like plot twists.
Yeah,
like,
that's the great thing about like Promised Neverland, because it's not like your traditional like American like horror. It's like it's just really like very gory. I guess it was like what they do in this anime, which I really do enjoy.
See,
it's
I wouldn't even say it's gory though,
No.
just because it does have some graphic scenes in it, but not really a lot.
I mean, it's enough to kind of shock you, but not enough to like
they do,
desensitize you from it.
yeah, they do like some stuff, and I'm like, oh, that's pretty gross. I'm like, I don't know, but still loved it.
But like
anyway.
with the setting and all that, like you don't really expect it whenever they
Yeah.
show you.
Yeah,
kinda
so
like
what-
catch
what-
you
what-
off
it's
guard.
like- It's like shock horror. or
Yeah,
something?
shock,
yeah.
They just kind of catch you.
That's
off
kind of like
guard,
what I
yeah.
like about it.
Yeah. So like I think my first experience I had with horror would be like Elfenlied, I think, and that was really early on. That was like top 10 like first animes that I've seen. And that one, yeah, it was just like gore,
Yeah.
gore.
I
And
found
was
that
just kind
I
of
don't know.
well.
That was like also one of the first ones I saw, and it was just pretty boring to me.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's slow, just kind
I
of.
mean, if I probably rewatch it now, I'd understand.
yeah,
but-
be able to break it down a little bit more.
Mm.
See, I think one of the biggest things that really attracted me to Promised Neverland was the facial animations that they
Oh,
did.
yeah.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like episode 1, whenever it takes that first plot twist turn, it's so like you can just see the characters and like how they're feeling in that exact moment.
Right.
And they do a good job of that throughout the entire anime, no
Yeah.
matter where it's at.
What I love about it is like you think, they're doing so great, but then like so many turns just happen, and it's like, I guess that's what I like about that type of anime. It's like I want twists and turns. I don't expect the best for the main character. Like to everything to go their way.
Yeah, I think everyone does it subconsciously. Like you start
Yeah.
watching an anime and you're already like the gears are turning and you can kind of see where it's going.
Hmm.
Like it's this most anime,
Mhm.
not all of them, but a good chunk of them, they're very linear
Yeah.
and just like okay, like they're gonna go through this and they're gonna hit
'Cause they f-
troubles and trials and then they overcome them and then like hey with the power of friendship, and
Because they follow what works in the
yeah,
series.
exactly. So it's really cool being able to like watch an anime like this and they just like blindside you and they just
Yeah.
I think that's the coolest thing because to me, whenever I was watching it, it always it at no point in time did I ever think there was a character not planning something. Every main character in this anime was always thinking something, and it was like watching someone teach you how to play 4D chess.
yeah.
Not some basic bitch regular chess, some 4D chess.
Keep in mind, like these kids were like 12,
Yeah.
12 years old.
At the oldest.
Yeah.
There were some that were like 5 years old too.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was like
Yeah.
an age. It was like an age range of like 1 to 12.
Yeah.
That was where, like, the kids
everyone's
were at.
plotting something.
It's amazing. Honestly.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of like Game of Thrones, where
Mhm.
it's just there's so much like
Development.
happening. Yeah, it's like everyone has something going on. It's like it's not as simple as just like the pro tag has like okay XX and X is gonna happen and then boom profit. It's like
Mhm.
no, because then other people also have like their own like agenda almost.
Yeah, and that's where like the plot twist coming in too.
yeah.
like it ruins everything, then you gotta start from scratch or do something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so this one I would say plot wise,
Dude, it's delicious. Mm.
I want to say for their like musical score, it always felt like the music, while I wouldn't say it's amazing or anything like that, it fit the mood very
Yeah.
well. There was
Yeah.
never a point where the anime was playing one of its scores and it just didn't
Match.
sound right. It always helps you feel not only what the characters were feeling, but like the tension or like the surrounding and like what's
Yeah,
going
yeah.
on. They did a really good job.
Oh,
with
yeah, and
that.
also, did y'all watch it subbed or dubbed?
I
Oh,
watched it.
I watched
Mhm.
subbed.
Oh,
I mean
God,
dubbed.
don't
I watched it
remember.
dubbed. Yeah.
I think I ended up watching it subbed because the dubbed wasn't working right for me.
What about you, Carlos?
yeah, subbed.
Subbed?
Yeah.
Like seriously?
Yeah.
Alright. Because whenever you watched the dubbed, was it like, what do you think about the dubbed?
Dude, all
Like-
the characters, like, I love their voices.
Yeah,
bro.
it was like you can like
even when
really
they-
tell the fear.
Even like in the middle of the anime when they introduce like more characters, like, bro, it's like it's amazing. I don't
Yeah.
know.
How was it in subbed?
I mean, it's subbed anime. It's
Well, like voice
On-
character wise, did
so
it fit the
charac-
the mood? Did it fit the
Character
characters?
wise, it did the voices fit the characters very well. I think they did a very good job. Not only playing the part of their characters, but playing like the situations that they were in.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, I do feel like part of it would have been better if it was dubbed, just because I don't know why. It just kind of made it feel, that kind of scenario kind of made it feel better if it was dubbed to me.
Do you think
personally.
it's
just takes away from like having to
Yeah.
read subtitles.
Yeah,
kinda
you think
takes
you
away
got a
from-
little disconnected from like the what they were actually meaning?
Honestly,
something?
with how immersed I wasn't disconnected at all. But I do,
Huh.
I do feel like there was a little bit more I could have gained if it was dubbed.
that's a big one. Immersion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
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 Keyword. Ding, 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 ding. That's the word of the that's the word of the week, baby.
Mm.
Word of the week, huh?
Immersion.
Yeah. So no, my immersion wasn't broken at all whenever I was watching it, even with it subbed. But I do feel like a little bit extra more I could have gained from it being dubbed.
Yeah, I think it does a great job of like another like word of the week, like dread,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
So with horror, I think that's the big one. It's not necessarily just like, so I feel like in playing horror video games, right? Like you get that chill when you're like running away from like the big monster or whatever, like
Mr. Big
yeah.
X or whatever.
Yeah,
Mr. X.
coming after you. So you get that chill of just like, oh man, like you're running, you don't want to look over your shoulder, you don't want to turn
Yeah.
around, like but you know he's back there, right?
Yeah.
You get that like sense of
The looming feeling
yeah,
of
yeah.
fear.
That's when I think fear, that's what I think of.
Mm-hmm.
Right? But in like a well devised plot and where you want the characters to succeed, like to be freed, you know, like yeah. But when they build these like these twists and these turns, you know, it's like it kind of crumbles that like
Yeah.
hope that you have, like oh they're gonna succeed, and then it's like psych, you know.
Yeah, that's what I was
And
saying. Like
yeah,
you
yeah.
got to start from scratch.
Exactly.
You
So
gotta.
it like it builds it keeps that dread there. Like you
Mhm.
can't ever feel safe, right?
Yeah.
Because I feel like in watching this, you're like one of the kids with them.
Yeah, like
you know?
you're stuck in this hell
Yeah,
with
yeah, yeah.
them,
Exactly.
trying to figure a way out, or whatever.
Mm.
So, and I think this one does a really good job
Yeah.
of that. You know.
And honestly, I'm kind of curious to see where they're going to take the anime in season 2.
Oh yeah,
Um,
season 2's coming out pretty soon.
Pretty soon.
I'm excited for it.
Placeholder date so far is January of next year.
January-
Nice.
They moved it
Yeah, they moved it again.
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 Yeah, I read October.
Yeah, I thought it
beginning
was
then.
October, dude.
Yeah, then.
Well, like I said, I'll have to double check my sources on that one.
Yeah.
But so we might be waiting a while for that season 2, but I really am interested to see how they're gonna do season 2 and just where they're gonna take it.
I
Yeah.
also heard they're like working on a live action of it.
Really?
That doesn't surprise me considering how popular it
Delicious.
I want to see the scene where the kid gets his leg broken
Oh yeah.
was.
in live action.
Ooh. Yeah, that'll be intense.
Was it a leg?
Yeah,
it's
it
not
was
in
a
the
leg.
budget.
It
It's
was a
not in the
leg.
budget.
Not in the budget.
Not in the budget.
Bring
No.
me mallet.
It's like
I'm getting mallet.
It's like they just stopped the production because like it's like we have to wait 7 months to wait. Like
Yeah.
the artist that comes.
How much time passed? Like 5 months in the anime.
Yeah.
Like we gotta wait 5 months.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Damn shame, but we gotta do it.
I'm pretty sure it's about how long like a production would last, anyways.
Maybe. I mean, it
Something on
depends.
that. I know they take a while, but
Mm.
They've been pumping out these live actions though.
yeah, is that like the new thing?
I
don't know.
guess
I mean,
so.
Ev's been watching.
Yeah, I'm loving it. Like
Really,
not-
you've been
not be-
watching live actions?
Yeah, not because like
What?
they're amazing, just because like it's another medium of like this anime like
The continuation of that world, like
Yeah.
being in that universe.
well like this
Ooh.
anime is like you can do like anything you want in this anime, but how do they adapt it to real life.
Mhm.
That's what I kind of like watching.
See,
Yeah,
Really?
You know what?
like-
we'll talk about some live actions next episode. Then.
What-
How's
what
that
I-
sound?
probably.
Yeah, that's crazy. I never thought about it like that.
That's
what
why
I
I
like
love 'em.
about like anime is that like it's like it's so hard to like put that all that emotion into like a movie or like a TV show. So they just like draw it out and put it like in a
in either like a light novel
animation,
or a manga. Yeah.
So like, and that's the thing where like I started thinking about. I'm like, well, if you're making it into live action, then wouldn't that just be like hard? Because that's the like thought I've always had.
Right. Yeah. I mean that. I think that's the challenge of like a good director
Yeah.
is being able to, like explain to the actor, be like, all right, listen, this is what they feel in that moment, and then like the keystone of
Mhm.
a good actor is being able to take that direction and reflect, that character and like the emotion completely, and like actually having an understanding of like the moment. So if anything, I wonder if these live actions are easier for the actor, because then they just go back and watch the anime and be like, okay, this is what's supposed to happen in this
They-
scene.
See, that all depends though. If the director is good and has passion for the project they're doing, because there's some directors out there that don't have that passion.
True.
And B, it's how well they're able to portray their scenes in not only the actors themselves, but like in any animation that they'll have to do in the anime, depending on what they're trying to show.
Yeah.
So I think it all really is just dependent on budget and how much passion they have in it.
Yeah. I mean, very
Well,
good, but
Anyways, next topic. Let's talk about another.
another
Another.
what? Another anime?
No. Another the anime.
So, okay, this one I love and hate. It's a love-hate relationship.
Mm-hmm.
So I love it for the same reasons that I hate it. And
Okay.
That's the thing. Now, like I said, these I was going into like sound design, right? I was listening to the music, and this one reminded me of like a really campy, cheesy horror,
Mm-hmm.
right? It has like the ominous piano, the
Yeah,
like,
'cause
it's just-
even the first episode was like, it's like, oh, there's a story of like this
Yeah, yeah.
girl,
yeah, they like you can tell like they're laying like the paving, for what's to come, so
Mm.
it's like they tell you the story, and then it's just like ominous music, like
Mhm.
it's just like kind of trying to build this like
Yeah.
ambiance of like just like that horror feel,
Yeah.
and like I hate it. It's like it's dumb. It's like
Yeah,
why are you-
cliche.
yeah, it's very
Very
cliche.
cliche.
I was like, don't do that. Why are you doing that? But at the same time, like I really love it because it reminded me of like the old school, I guess not really old school, but the spoof horror movies. What are they called?
Oh, you mean like Paranormal Wackativity and Scary Story?
Kind of like that, but it was the one where with the aliens.
Scary movie.
yeah,
Scary
that's
Movie?
movie.
Yeah.
Scary movie.
It's like that where like so like the
It's
guys
a
just
parody almost.
yeah but it's the same thing. They have like the same music, like the same sound design, because it's
Mhm.
like that's it's a joke that like you're
Yeah.
doing that, and that's really all I can think about. Like I was so distracted by like the music because I was like, all right, I see what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
but I just can't take you seriously right now.
See, while you were more focused on like the sound design and all that, I was more focused on like how scary the anime was and like where the plot was going. I have to say, and we talked about this a little bit before we started recording, the anime, the idea of it is really good. I think they
Oh,
had
yeah.
a really good idea.
100%.
The execution was utter crap.
Yeah. So I
Oh.
had to Google after the fact,
Mhm.
like what was
the
happened.
director
Yeah,
thinking?
yeah.
Dude, come on.
Yeah, I sent them hate mail. No. So, but and it's actually a lot of people were like that.
Mhm.
It was pretty easy to find lots of forums of people who were just like, yeah. So what's going on? Like, what?
Yeah,
like,
oh no,
what-
definitely.
And people were referencing back to the light novel or just what the anime showed. But
Side tangent. That's one of my biggest pet peeves. We haven't really talked about it yet. Don't know if we're gonna talk about it, so I'm gonna bring it up real quick now. That's one of my biggest pet peeves about animes is that, and when it comes to episodic, it's a little bit different, I guess, but it's more so towards movies where animes, the only way to completely understand what's happening to them is if you read their original source. I understand you can't compact everything into 12 episodes or 24 episodes or however many episodes you get for an anime. But if in order to make sense of anything, you have to go back to what it was originally written in, even in an anime sense. I I don't understand that.
I think it comes back down to like what we were talking about earlier about like the passion in the project and all that stuff. I'm assuming that the directors of like the people who make the anime or like they decide what direction to take it from.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming that they read the source material. I would hope that they read the source material.
Mm-hmm.
And so then it comes down to, making cuts. Obviously, like you said, it's hard compacting all of it into 12 or 24 episodes.
Yeah.
So to get all this source material and have to like, cut the fluff out.
Yeah.
And I think it's easy to like mix up what is fluff and then what's just like little details that are necessary, but they don't seem necessary. Like in just like a quick glance, it looks like fluff. And so you trim the fat. And then now there's like some translation issues in like what the anime is showing you, and it's like, oh well, that's not how this was supposed to happen. Like I read the source material. It's like it's way different.
Yeah.
And it's I imagine it's because of a scenario like that.
And I mean I get that, but you think that at least for an ending especially, they'd have better consideration towards like helping viewers understand how it ends without having to read what it was based off of.
Yeah. Well, I mean, but so there was that I don't know if y'all saw it, but in like American comics, the creator or the artist for Captain Marvel kept like making her bust size bigger and bigger every time he drew it to see if his
the audience or fans?
No, the editor. His editor was paying attention. And so that's why in the comics her bust size is as big as it is, because it took that long before they finally realized like, oh wait, why is she so bust? And so I imagine it's something like that where it's just someone not doing their job the way it should have been done.
I guess that makes sense.
That's at the end of the day, that's the only conclusion I can come to.
Well, tangent over, going back to another. So I'm gonna kind of like break the rule that we had for this episode of like not going too far into it.
That's fine.
The ending.
Oh, that's too fast, JP.
I don't care. All right.
Like, how about,
I haven't finished it.
How about this? We talked about like what the anime is actually about, and then we get into the ending.
I agree.
Because that's going in way too
I
fast.
agree.
I don't even know what it's about. I watched the
Okay,
episodes.
so
I don't know.
Diego, you talk about what the anime is about
Confused.
because I'm gonna talk about it
Dude,
as
I
fast as I can if I do.
I haven't seen it
So-
in like.
All right.
So
then-
my understanding about it is this kid comes to school and there was like a dark past that's occurred, and it's and later you find out like a girl died and there's like a curse that's in the school. And should I talk about the curse? Like the
I'll talk about the curse.
Okay.
So basically, the curse of the school is that
The Bite of 87.
yeah, actually.
not too
Yes,
far off,
but actually,
honestly.
no.
Yeah.
Contrary to popular
Actually,
belief,
no.
yeah.
So the whole curse of the school is that a specific class 3, for the I think it was like the juniors. I think it was
juniors.
Yeah,
It's
for the
juniors, yeah.
juniors, class 3 of the juniors. The girl, they ended up finding out that they had an extra student on their student roster.
Yeah, so it's like, say there's like the roster's supposed to be 20.
Yeah.
Right? And then there's only 20 desks, but there's 21 students, and they're just like, no one thought anything about it. So then they were like, oh, we'll just throw in another desk. Like, the
Yeah.
paperwork must be wrong or whatever. And then that was the beginning of the curse. And so that year, every month until the end of the year, someone was dying.
Yes.
Because, and like, that's the curse. And then it would like restart the same year or same time every year. And it would be like 20 kids on the roster, but there's the 21. Like what's going on? And then that starts the cycle.
See,
over
now
again.
that sounds pretty cool. As
Yeah,
like
that's what I'm saying. Like the plot, like
Yeah,
no,
the
the plot
idea
sounds
was like
awesome.
awesome. Like I was reading it and I was like, this is
It's
awesome.
gonna be a
dude.
banger,
Yeah,
man.
It's gonna be a banger.
But going back to like the actual plot.
Execution.
Execution for so the kid's name is Koichi Sakakibara. He transfers in during May because school starts in April for them.
weirdos.
Yeah, whatever.
on,
So yeah,
man,
he
you can't say that.
transfers in May. Students start dying a month after. No one had really seen anything like that before. And so basically how they try to prevent this curse from happening is that they have one student who they basically just ignore for the entirety of the year. And that's supposed to take place for the student. Did we say what that extra student was about? I forget if we said that or not.
No.
Okay, so the extra student is a student that had died in a previous year. and no
They're
and
like
like
a ghost.
yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. But they don't know that they're dead, and no one, and they can't figure out who it is because their memories are altered until the end of the school year happens. Um, so basically, in order to prevent the curse, in order to make up for the dead person that they don't know who it is, they select one student that is on the roster, and they basically just they basically don't exist.
Yeah, they like ignore them to like kind of quote unquote get the roster back down to 20 as if that
Exactly.
person
So, like,
wasn't even
In the
there.
beginning of the anime, there's like they introduce that like person they
Mei
ignore,
Misaki is
and it's like you're thinking this whole time like, oh, is she a ghost? Like, is she even real? And then like, eventually, it's like it's a person they ignore. You know?
See, I feel like now knowing that after watching 3 episodes, it'll make a lot more sense.
They like clicks.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I feel like if they would have mentioned that at the very beginning,
I think
at least, I mean,
the thing is
subtly.
like looking back on the, you look back at the beginning and it's like that Sakakibaru.
Mm.
Koichi
Mr. Main Character.
Sakakibara.
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 When he's like talking to that girl and he's like, hey, where's May?
Mhm.
And then she like looks at him and she's like, how do you know that name? Like,
Mhm.
and he's like, yeah, the girl with the eye patch. And she's like,
It just gets tense from there.
yeah. And
Yeah.
she just has this like cold, dead like face. And at first, like you said, it's like, oh, is she a ghost? But
Yeah.
like, no, it's like to her, that's bad news because they're all supposed to be ignoring her. Because if
Mhm.
not, then people start dying again.
And see, that's one of my biggest problems with this anime. That whole situation could have been avoided. It's by sheer coincidence that all that shit started that year. Is because the girl who was supposed to notify him, because apparently this one girl, Izumi Akazawa, she's the head of countermeasures for that class. She was absent the day that Sakakibara was supposed to start, and apparently she's the only one that can tell him about the
Yeah.
situation.
Yeah, see, and that's the thing is I hate things like that where it's just
How cool.
yeah,
It's
it's
cool-
how
complete
convenient.
coincidence.
Like, it's like, all right. I mean, hey, I guess if that's what you need to kickstart the show, then you go for
Yeah.
it.
Well, anyways, I'm gonna jump forward quite a few episodes.
JT, the Lord.
I don't care about the lore. It
didn't
sucks.
finish it.
Jumping forward quite a few episodes, they basically end up deciding that at one point in time they had also banished Sakakibara. They had made him basically not exist either,
Oh yeah.
and that worked. And that worked until the next month started, and basically where another person died. So they were just like, yeah, you two aren't. You two can exist now because that didn't work.
Yeah.
And so basically and so they had started talking about like ways to stop the curse mid-year, and they ended up finding out that there was one year where they had stopped the curse
Oh,
mid-year.
yeah.
That's
And-
also the thing about the curse is that it almost never stops mid-year.
Yeah. There's only one coincidence or one situation that it actually stopped mid-year. So the next like 3 to 4 episodes, it's starting from like episode 6 on. Next 3 or 4 episodes is them trying to figure out what the heck stops the curse mid-year. They end up taking a trip to a temple because they did that same year. They find out that the only way to stop the curse mid-year is by killing the dead student. And so, the last 2 episodes,
My favorite.
oh my god.
My favorite.
So before I get into these last 2 episodes, I also want to say one thing.
This is why I always recommend another to everybody.
The main female protagonist, her name is May. She's the one that has the eye patch over her eye. The reason why she has the eye patch over her eye is because she lost her eye when she was young. Her mom replaced it with basically a glass eye.
Yeah, it's a glass eye.
Basically a glass eye. And so because of that, for some reason, she's able to see if people are dead or not.
Oh yeah.
How convenient.
How convenient, exactly. So the last 2 episodes, they go to this manor that's like at the base of the mountain where the shrine's at. They they go to the mountain, they come back down. They found a tape that told them how to stop the year. Like these 4 main kids. They found a tape that told them how to stop by killing the dead person.
How convenient.
How convenient. The tape ends up getting stolen by another student. Played throughout the entire PA system.
How convenient.
And so the
How
last
convenient.
Shut up!
Right.
So the last 2 episodes, it's literally these kids going on a killing spree, burning down the manor that they're staying at, just because they're trying to kill the kid that's dead. And if they kill someone that wasn't dead, oh well, keep on killing.
So instead of, it's like they're so pressed for time instead of actually trying to solve it, they're just like.
It's not that
just
they're
go
even
around, like,
pressed
stabbing
for
everybody.
time.
Some of you may die, but that's
That's a sacrifice
sacrifice
I am
I'm
willing to make. No, it's not even that they're pressed for time. It's the fact that they're scared of dying, so they start
that's what I'm
killing
saying.
people.
That's what I mean. Is that like
Okay.
they're just kind of like, oh, we gotta end it now.
Yeah, no, that's exactly what happens. But so the entire last 2 episodes, May knows who the dead person is. And in 2 different times, she has a perfect chance to tell the main character, Sakakibara, she has a chance to tell him who the dead person was. Neither times does she say it. There's weird, awkward pauses, and then a random character comes in to kill May because everybody thinks that she's the dead person. Spoiler alert, she's not. It turns out to be Sakakibara's aunt.
Yeah. So that's actually what I wanted to get into.
Oh yeah.
Is that there was it like goes back to what was it? So the reason that his mom died was because of her, because of the aunt Reiko. Because she somebody joined their class as a teacher and no one thought that it could be a teacher. They thought it was just students.
Yeah.
So that's why they couldn't figure out who it was, so a lot of people ended up dying, and his mom being one of them. And it was so Reiko had been dead, and Sakakubaru saw her, Reiko, his aunt, as his mother, the mother figure.
Pretty much.
So it was supposed to be this big intense situation where he kills her and to save everybody, and it's just goodbye, mom. It's supposed to be this whole touching moment. It's you can sorry, you can slap the mic around. You can see that the groundworks, the bone works,
like what they were trying to do.
It was just talking about it, it's man, that's amazing. Dude, the story, it to me, it's great. That's awesome. But the execution, give a round of applause for whoever.
Execution's utter ass.
Yeah, it's not the best. And I from what I read, the biggest issue that people had with it was just that those last scenes were just so bloody, it was hard to tell what even was going on. And the gore was just throughout the roof.
For some reason, the owners of the manor, for some reason, they started going on a murder spree, and that's what started it.
When in Rome.
It was a husband and wife. The husband ended up killing himself, setting the kitchen on fire, and that's how the manor ended up burning down. The wife, for some reason, started going on a killing spree to start murdering children.
I do remember that, though. The owners, they're the ones that started it.
They're the reason why it all started.
Yeah.
And then the kids started devolving with the wife, and the kids started killing each other. The kids started gunning for May. One of my favorite characters, Izumi Akazawa, the head of countermeasures. She ends up dying.
That's your mistake, JT. You had a favorite character in this anime.
I had a favorite character in a trash anime. You're right. That is on
shame.
me. That is on me. And so, it makes me so mad because there's so many situations in this anime where not only could it have been prevented, but it could have played out better if somebody wasn't being a dumbass about it.
Right. Yeah, that's there's been a lot of anime that I've just dropped watching because of that. Because of just they teehee, brain dead moment. Oh no, now the whole 12 episodes are gonna happen now because of my one. I forgot to tie my shoe. It's no, come on, you can make a better reason to kickstart everything. But regardless, I mean, some people might really like this anime. Maybe we're too dumb to have caught on sooner. Maybe it's just takes a little bit more brain work to actually figure out what was happening and what had been happening.
I beg to differ. This is a pretty.
Okay,
you're right. You're right.
Everyone's
What if we're what if this is some 12th graders project and we're just trashing on it?
What is it?
Sorry, guy.
Saw?
World
did you
sucks.
know Saw was just a short film?
No.
Yeah,
I mean, I could see it.
I think it was a 10 or 15 minute short film.
Really?
Yeah, because these two guys, they had no money to actually get a location, and so they just they bought out this that room that takes place in. You know where it's him.
Yeah,
and,
it's they're in that weird bathroom area,
and they're chained to the wall, and then
dang,
that
that's
sense.
impressive.
So then someone saw that at a film festival, and they were like, right now, sign them. we can make this a movie. And so that's it's kind of like that.
Have you seen that new Saw movie that's coming out?
No, we'll talk
Dude,
about that later. Talk about
That
that later.
trailer. We're not gonna talk about it later.
That's the
JT.
point.
I meant off.
I
Off
saw
mic.
it like 2 years ago or something like that.
No,
They
they're
were
like
gonna-
making a new song. It just looks really whack. I don't like it anymore.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's what, like their 9th movie now?
Who knows?
Who knows? Anyways, another.
Another what?
Another anime because I'm done talking about another.
Another 5 stars.
5 stars.
Mm.
5 stars.
2.5 stars.
Out of like 20.
Sure,
Mm,
maybe 100.
Yeah.
Okay, that's being a little bit strict. Yeah,
But I mean, yeah, like I said, it's like it might be somebody's cup of tea. You know,
Yeah.
it's like, but
like Diego here.
You'll have
Yeah,
to let
it
us
is-
know.
like I said, it was just kind of one of those things. Like that cliche. It was like slightly insufferable.
execution
I
was off.
yeah,
If
I
you
was
if
just
you
like-
don't agree with my many problems with this anime, please at Bowl of Men on Twitter
At
or
No,
bowlofmen@gmail.com.
please don't. I'm the one that
Oh
looks
no,
it up.
no! Please do. I'll handle that part.
I wanna
Carlos.
see
Don't-
Carlos
I-
cry.
I
I'm
would
gonna-
love,
I'm gonna
love
dox-
to talk.
I'm a dox
quote,
JT.
unquote, talk about
Dox
the
you.
anime.
I'm gonna give you. I'm
with
gonna give you
y'all.
He's like,
JT's phone
he's like,
number.
yeah,
You
I
can-
have
You know what? Yeah,
problem.
do that.
The
It's
anyway.
like, it's like, yeah, I have a problem with JT said. You just reply with his address.
uh, anyways,
what's next on the list?
next on the list? Let's talk about Mononoke.
Mononoke. Okay,
Yeah.
so now this one, I would say from Diego, like he told me about it before I had watched it.
Mhm.
And that this was like hands down the one I was looking forward to the most.
Mhm.
Like, I had just seen like a little picture of it, and I was like, man, that's an interesting art style.
Mm-hmm.
Well, going into it, again, not scary. It's not a scary one.
Like,
But it
horror.
says horror.
Thriller, like nah,
It's like- it's like-
not really
It's
thriller.
it's almost a mystery.
You know what it
Yeah,
reminded
yeah.
me of? It reminded me of No Guns
Mushishi.
Life.
really.
Mushishi.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was getting big Mushishi vibes off of it.
You know what?
It was like a blend between Mushishi and Yamishibai.
So, like,
kinda-
I think the craziest thing about this anime is that we threw it on this list on a complete whim. Like
Yeah.
Diego was just scrolling through, he was just like, "Hey, what about this one?" And it was just, and I kind of looked at it, and I was like, "Why not? Might as well."
Why not?
And
Became my favorite one.
You saw
It's-
that trailer for it too.
yeah, all we saw was a trailer for it. That's the only information we grasped.
It was
from
like a trailer some random person made too.
yeah,
Yeah.
just clipped together.
So I think what stands out most about this anime is the art style.
Yeah,
for it.
visually, it's like it's a feast, man. There's just so much
It's-
going on.
It's almost like classic Japanese art is what it looks
Yeah.
like.
tr-
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
our big man eating our bowl of noodles in
Yeah,
the back
right?
right here. It's almost like that.
Yeah.
Was it just me, or did I get kind of like American vibes?
Yeah,
from,
so
like,
I was
American
talking
style?
to Diego about it. And it's like that cartoon Chowder.
Mhm.
on
Yeah.
Cartoon Network. So that's the first time I've seen like the art style where like
Where like
The
they'll
textures.
move.
like they're walking and the textures move on their clothes.
It's almost like they're moving through the
Through
texture.
the texture,
Like
yeah,
the
yeah.
texture is just a still image in the background, and
Yeah,
they're moving through it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so like that's what this anime did. And stylistically, that's like I like that.
Oh, yeah,
I
no,
didn't
it's
like it in
beautiful.
Chowder, but it works here. Like it
Mm.
looks really good
Mm.
because it's like the colors, like the color palettes they use. It's
Mhm.
like
Yeah,
it's kind of
very,
like the world is very like grays and meh, but then it's like so the characters will have like they stand
Vibrant.
out. Yeah,
yeah,
they're really
the very
vibrant.
vibrant colors
it's
of
like
like
you're
blues
watching
and
all
yellows
this,
and
like-
reds.
Like there's like one scene, everything's like very vibrant, and like the next scene, it's like you don't really notice it changes, but it's like they want you to like to focus on this one thing,
Mm.
so they put like super bright colors on like the character or whatever, and then like the other colors are kind of like not grayed out, but just like very dull. But it's like to focus on this one
Yeah.
character.
Like art design, I think they did such an amazing job. It's so crazy because like you said, Diego, they do a good job of pulling your attention to where they want you to be
Yeah.
without it being noticeable.
So like usually in horror they use sound. They use like these really like low tones
Mm.
and these really high pitched tones to like like psychologically get your mind ready to be scared.
Yeah, of
right.
course.
It's like they have like the science behind it, and they'll play like these really low hums and stuff like that
Mm-hmm.
that just kind of like instill that dread into you. And so visually they were doing that,
Mhm.
but it was just kind of like, hey, look here, like ignore, like you don't really need to pay attention to this, but look at this, like this is what you need to be focusing on. And it's cool because I feel like the background, even like everything was like at a 9,
Oh yeah,
but then they managed to get the subject at like a 12. You know, like it's
Yeah.
weird, like it's crazy, and it made the background like a background, like it just didn't matter anymore. And yeah, it was just one of the. But yeah, it's like so Mushishi. Have any of y'all seen Mushishi?
I've
I've
seen
seen a couple
I've seen
episodes.
season 2.
Yeah, so it's just like pretty chill, just like not mysteries, but solving mysteries. You know,
Guys
just
going
kinda,
around just kind of like solving people's
yeah,
problems.
and
with
so it's
these-
just the medicine seller, and he's
Yeah.
just going around solving people's problems, and it's not really like he's trying.
Yeah, it's just really by coincidence.
Yeah,
that he
but
runs
it
into
is
these
his
problems.
mission in
It
life
is.
to like banish the Mononoke.
Like his goal is to go find the Mononoke, and it just so happens he walks
Yeah,
into the
wherever he's
situation
going, he
he's
just-
wanting to find.
And so actually, I don't know if y'all knew this, but this is like a spin-off
Yeah,
series
like,
Seriously?
of like
yeah,
a,
this is like a sequel,
completely
right?
different anime.
I
I don't
didn't
think
know
it's a
that.
sequel. It's just like I think it's a
It's
spin-off.
spin-off, right? Because there's another one that like
Yeah, where the medicine seller is in, but I don't think he's the pro tag of it.
I honestly
Yeah.
didn't know that. Wow,
yeah, there's another
that's pretty
one.
cool.
Yeah, I was tempted to kind of do my own little research and watch like the where it came from.
Yeah, I was
Mhm.
gonna do it too, but I'm like, no, that's already too much.
But yeah, it's just like,
Yeah,
and so
no.
like I say like Yamishibai vibes because it's not like folklore, but it has like
They
that
have each
vibe
story.
where
Yeah,
it's just
definitely.
like each
So it's like-
story is individual.
At least 2 episodes are like stories. So it'll
Yeah,
be
they break each like.
It'd be like a part
Second
like a
one, and
mini
a part
arc,
two.
I guess.
Exactly.
Of like just
Yeah,
I think they do really good, and I want to say their sound design. It's very abnormal.
yeah
Like,
to,
it's a lot
to
of-
match like the
Yeah,
the
it's a lot of
visuals.
like drums and a lot of like
the little guitar thing.
exactly.
Yeah.
It's not normal, but it helps.
It
Set,
matches like that Edo like.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not even Edo because it's like the 1800s
It is
because they end up having
it's a
trains.
Train, yeah.
Yeah.
It's around that time where like.
Yeah, where Japan's making like that transition into like the
mo-
modern Western kind of.
Industrialization.
Yeah.
Mm.
But no, so like talking with Diego about it, that first episode just kind of like it's really funny, like sets the pace with like and I don't know if it was like meant to make it more horror like, but the fact that it was like the brothel and like
Yeah, that was
the abortion room and stuff
that was
like
another
like-
thing is that their symbolism in this anime is superb. Like they're able to show, like there's a scene where like this lady's pulling this drape, and she ends up ripping it in half, and that's supposed to symbolize a baby's umbilical cord.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they do such a good job with like symbolism, with showing you what they want you to see, but without actually showing it.
Yeah.
I think they do such a beautiful job.
Yeah, it's really good,
Mm.
really well thought out. I can go on. I got nothing but good to say about this one,
Honestly,
like,
no, like
it's
there's
such
no
a good
fault.
one.
Well, let's just talk about like the episodes in general, like what each one was about. Instead of getting in depth about each episode, just talk about like the topics of each episode. Because it's like I think there's really like what first one was like the brothel.
Mhm,
The second one was like the fish one, right?
No, I thought the second one was the lady escaping.
The one like she gets sent to prison for like killing her husband and like
yeah,
the husband's like family.
Which was the one where they're on the boat?
that's
No,
the
the
that's the
third-
third.
that's the
set,
third one,
So
with the
like
third
6
fish.
and 7.
Yeah, with fish.
So like it's like they basically pass like the Bermuda Triangle.
Yeah.
Basically like it's like the Dragon's Sea or something like that. And then like some fish comes and he's like, "What is your greatest fear?" And you have to tell him like the truth. Like, what is your greatest fear? And you have to witness it. And
Yeah,
it's-
so there's like this other soothsayer on the boat, and he's all like, "You have to tell him this, and this,"
Mhm.
and the fish is just like, "What do you fear most?"
Yeah.
Kind of like, "Show me what you got."
Yeah.
but yeah, so the guy was like trying to repeat like what the soothsayer was telling him, but the soothsayer is like bogus, like he's not actually like
Mhm.
knows what he's doing, like the way the medicine seller does.
See, I think
But-
it's really interesting of like how he's able to fight these Mononoke, because in order for him to even draw his like little spirit sword that he
Yeah,
has,
he has to. What is it? It's the
he has to-
truth and
he
the
has to find
soul
form, truth,
Regret.
and regret.
and regret.
So like each one represents like the form is what it truly looks like. The truth is supposed to be like what it's there for,
Mhm.
and the regret is
I think it said the condition of the soul is what he
yeah,
said.
something like that.
Yeah, because like that episode goes in depth about like how the brother, like the sister wanted to be with the brother or something like that.
Yeah, like
Mhm.
wanted to marry the brother, but the
brother, like
brother
in the
was
e-
like using her because he had to become a sacrifice
yeah,
for the devil's triangle or whatever, or the dragon's triangle.
yeah, something like that.
And she loved him so much that he kind of like lied to her and was all like, "Oh, well, I'm up for a promotion." And then she was like, "Well, I love you so much, brother. I'll go for you."
Yeah.
And then so it was just kind of like he was tricking her into thinking that he felt the same way about her.
But all this time,
but
like,
it was just so he wouldn't have to die.
in the end, like he had all this regret, thinking that like he actually loved her in the end, when in reality it wasn't that.
Yeah, and it like kind of threw me off guard because he was like this short, like fat, ugly
Yeah.
monk. But then like after like
He
the
revealed,
banishment
like,
of everything,
yeah.
the girl was all like, "Oh, he's kind of handsome," and I was like, "Who,
Oh,
the
yeah.
monk?" And then it goes back to him, and it's like
He's like
handsome
young.
Squidward.
Yeah.
I was like, "Huh?"
What was like the episode after that? It was like so it's like that'd be like episode 8. Cause I think no, this is the cat one, right? Or not
That's the
train.
last one
That's the
with
last.
the
That
train.
thing was like 3 episodes long.
Yeah.
Though.
3 or 4.
Yeah, it's 3.
3.
Right.
That was my favorite one.
Yeah, that one was really in depth.
Yeah,
that one
yeah.
was cool.
That one was just because it had like that noir, like
Mm-hmm.
detective kind of feel of just like
yeah,
we're
all
trying
types
to.
of characters and
Yeah,
they're all
yeah.
personalities.
It reminded me kind of like that. What was that movie that came out a few years ago? That were Orient Express, Murder on the
Oh,
Orient
yeah.
Express. It's kind of like that.
was like a
Almost
game-
exactly like they're on a train and
Yeah.
they're like solving the murder. Like why? Because it was a false suicide.
Yeah.
Who the mayor?
I like how he just got straight up just
Yeah,
instant.
he just
instant.
opens the door.
Yeah.
It's like,
He's
oh
like, what's going on? Gone.
yeah.
Did you see the glasses?
Ooh. All
Man.
right. So probably gonna stop stroking Mononoke
Yeah,
off
right.
just because like I honestly think we
Watch
could
it.
go off and watch it.
Watch it.
We could go off on hours. Next one I think we should talk about is Yamishibai.
Yotterashai, mitterashai. Yamishibai o no jikan de yaro.
Yeah.
I need the little ding 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 that the guy's ringing. So Yamishibai, I would say is probably the first horror anime I've ever enjoyed, and was the first that actually, quote unquote, scared me.
Mhm.
Like I actually got goosebumps on like 1 or 2 of the episodes, and I was like, oh,
Mm.
that's kind of creepy.
Do you wanna tell the audience why?
Oh yeah.
What-
So this one is
It's a weird one.
so they're shorts, 5
Yeah.
minutes.
5 minutes long,
5 to
yeah.
7 minutes, like they're pretty short each, and they're like folklore, Japanese folklore, kind of like Hispanic culture. You have like La Llorona and El Cucuy and all that stuff. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like that. You have like water spirits and like, oh yeah, you can't do this. Like if you're stressed out, then this is gonna happen. If
Yeah.
you do this too much, like
It's like the boogeyman.
yeah, exactly. It's like that. It's really cool. It's really so like each one you just kind of go in and they do a really good job. It's real quick. They just set up the like what's happening and then you catch on quick and it's
Mm.
just like then like the creepiness starts to happen. And so like my favorite one actually was the office lady one. And she's like working late and she has to like fax or like make copies of something. So she's like, puts the paper in and copies it and and then it comes out and she sees that there's like a little strand of like something on it. It looks like a hair.
I think I've seen this.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
think
and
you
she-
showed me
yeah,
this
and
one.
she's like, what? And like opens it and there's like nothing there. And, so she like, but then like it starts like printing, like kind of goes crazy and it keeps like printing more and more and more.
Mhm.
And each one has like more hair, more hair, more hair, more hair, more hair.
See, now that sounds super
Yeah,
scary.
yeah. This is like right now I'm getting like
Yeah,
chills
me too.
thinking about it.
Because
And
like
then,
I'm
like-
just thinking, I'm like, yeah, damn, Carlos showed me this one. But
Yeah. And then like you see like the hair kind of like hanging out of the like the
printer.
the paper rack, I guess, and
Uh-huh.
it goes like it like sucks back in, and she
Yeah.
like sees it, and she's just like terrified, and she opens it, and it's just paper, and closes it, and then like I think like when she goes to open and check it again, like she sees the face of like it
Yeah.
looks like the Grudge basically, and she
Yeah.
just and then it like ends there,
Yeah.
and it like the like kind of like the
shutters.
the paper like the shutters close on it,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and so like Josiah and I looked up the lore on it, and
Mhm.
so. The old man when he comes to Yamishibai, it's presented as finger puppets,
Okay.
right? So they look like little paper cutouts,
Mhm.
and it's like almost stop motion animation
Yeah.
looking.
Kind of sort of like those puppet shows in Japanese culture when they're made out of paper and sort of like
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
a story.
Yeah, yeah. So it's
Exactly.
exactly that. Yeah. So the guy he wheels up in the intro. It's like him banging a little gong, and he rolls out his cart, and he's wearing this like yellow mask,
Mhm.
and so that what did I say? Yotterashai, mitterashai is come one, come all. So he's getting all the little kids for like the
Mhm.
show and tell time, and he's telling ghost stories. He's telling creepy ghost stories. And so like we looked up that mask or like the meaning of that mask that he's wearing.
Oh, you know what? I
is-
remember you
yeah,
showing
you were there.
this.
You were there. We did that at your house. And it was like because that person was like cursed or they're like a dead person, so they put on the face to keep them from dying and withering away, because like the dead is like trying to take his soul or something like that. So like even the guy himself has like a creepy backstory because he's
that's
wearing
crazy.
that yeah. And I'm getting it wrong, like I gotta look into it again, but it's like just everything about it is just creepy. And there are some hits and misses, like some of them are just kind of like kind of weak, like I just wasted 7 minutes of my life, but it's whatever.
The carrot at the Walmart checkout. Ooh.
Yeah.
Ooh, scary.
Scary sock banana. Ooh.
Well, kind of to sort of move on from it, I think it's really interesting. Yamishibai it's got 7 seasons worth of these 4-minute shorts.
Yeah, I was like, it seems like a lot, but again, they're only like
Exactly.
5
Each one
shorts,
probably
so
has
yeah.
like 12, 13 episodes in each one. You can knock it out in maybe 2 days.
I just want to add in there that even with a puppet art style, it really gives you like
it adds.
Oh no,
to
it does a
like,
good job.
It does.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching a couple, and like it's like frame by frame. Like it's not like an actual anime where it's like 60 frames, 30 frames, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, if this one's like motion by motion, like you're reading a book. You know, it's like turning the page. It's
like those
motion.
Captain Underpants, like flipping it back
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
forth.
the flipporamas.
the flipporama.
Yeah, and it's like, and it does make it more ominous. You know.
Yeah, and I think like I don't know if it's just Japanese lore or I mean like folktales or what, but like a lot of them are like surrounded around kids, and like to me, kids are just scary. Like
I hate kids.
in a horror. It's like,
Stinky and smelly.
Yeah,
Me after
Stink
watching-
breath.
Me after watching this anime.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's like it's eerie. Like you hear like a lot of them are like kids playing. Like there's one where like
Ew, kids playing.
yeah, dude, I'm getting chills just thinking about it. So like this girl, she's walking home, and
Not walking.
like the kids are like, yeah, come play with us, and she's like tired from work, and she's like, oh, later I'll play with you tomorrow or whatever. And so she goes home and she hears the kids playing, and she looks out her window, and they're standing around this like stain. It looks like a grease stain. It's like a shadow on the ground, and then they all look up at her, and it's like scary as hell. And they always the next day, and they're like, when you gonna play with this? Like you say you're gonna, but like it's like 5 or 6 kids, and they're like, yeah, Tommy or whatever, like they referring to that shadow, and they're like, yeah, Tommy wants to play with you, and she's just like, oh yeah, I can't right now, or whatever. And she's like getting creeped out, so she just like peels it home, like she just runs home, and she's there, and like the kids show up at her house, and they're like, hey, like is Tommy here? And he said he was gonna come play with you. And she's like, no, I don't know what you're talking. Like, leave me alone. Closes the door on him. And then she goes back to cooking. And she like looks over her shoulder, and like the Tommy's like on the ceiling, like the shadow is like on the ceiling.
Oh.
Yeah, dude, it's like, and then just like that, it just ends. So it's a lot of that shock horror of just kind of like, scary moment, and then boom, it ends.
And now Tommy and the lady are happily married.
Oh, no. It goes, I remember, it doesn't end there. The next day, the kids are playing outside, and it's the stain, like the shadow on the ground, and then a slightly taller shadow on the ground. And they're like all
Ooh.
playing together.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's
I forgot that's how it ends.
See?
Yeah.
They're happily married now.
Ooh, chills.
Ooh.
That's why I feel like this one, I wanted to bring this one up the most, just because like this one's actually gotten me like the most amount of times of just like it being creepy and like me getting chills and just like, whoa, that's actually kind of scary.
Yeah, I've only watched the first episode because I was watching it at like 2 a.m.
That's
Yeah.
the best time to watch it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was watching it. I'm like, you know what? Not now.
Yeah.
You heard it's the music, right?
It's the
music. It's like
Yeah, it's very creepy.
You did that shit. Yeah.
So, there's also like another thing. It's such a small thing compared to like the rest of it though, but there is like an undertone of another story going on with like the storyteller himself, isn't there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so like from what Josiah told me is that I've only seen the first season,
Mhm.
but he tells me like in the later seasons they start going into his like backstory and stuff.
Okay.
But he says that it was kind of weak, so I don't know.
That's okay. I guess that makes sense. I just remember in season 5, he ends up like he ends up doing like his intro and everything, and then like at the end of it, he's like running away from the cops.
Yeah.
Aw.
Yeah. So there's like, and that's the thing is that like the little things that they drop in the lore is in that like 10-second intro of him like calling the children. And so like to me it's a lot to watch like these scary stories just to get to that part, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like I like them, don't get me wrong, but I can only take a few at a time. It's just
I mean
palatable.
that's fair. It's like that's if you're not those ones are really like creepy, and so because of that I can understand not wanting to like binge watch a whole bunch of them. But I also feel like at the same time, if you're into that kind of stuff, that's like perfect one to
That's
binge
it for
watch
you.
because like you can just like knock those out
Just
real
bang them out.
quick.
Yeah, so we actually used to watch them in school. Like
I
Yeah.
remember
remember.
that.
We would just sit there and watch them.
Oh man, what a time.
Yeah, definitely. So I definitely recommend it. They're good little scary stories.
Mhm.
Anything else? We got anything else on the list?
Dorohedoro.
Dorohedoro.
Yeah.
So I haven't seen this one. I
Oh,
know,
we've
I know
seen-
nothing about
I
this.
seen the first episode and I was like, man, this is really weird. And I only said that because of like the animation, you know.
So what's interesting about Dorohedoro is that majority, if not at least like 98% of the anime is all CGI.
Yeah, no, I can see that.
Like all their characters are CGI. So
Yeah.
there's not there's certain moments where it's just like classic 2D animation for an
Mhm.
anime. But it's really interesting just because CGI animation has a lot of bad stigma, but I've also heard that a lot of people say that Dorohedoro is probably like the best version of the CGI that there is.
Yeah, because it's like it's not that noticeable in
No,
Dorohedoro.
it's not. Like
It's
they
like 'cause
do
you get
Like
immersed.
Like it blends well. Or?
Yeah, it's like you get immersed and you're like,
you do
it's-
they
it's like you don't, man. It's like it's alright. You
they
know, it's
do
like
a very good job of
Code Lyoko.
yeah, yeah.
Mm.
Well, like okay, the Code Lyoko is like super like
Yeah,
3D.
Code Lyoko is like super
they do like
immersed.
the once they go in there, they do like the 3D like
Yeah.
world.
Yeah, they
thing.
like make a big deal out of
like
it.
they
Whereas
get the cam shots like 3D.
They were flexing.
like
Yeah.
but with Dorohedoro they do a good job with like the environment around it that
Yeah.
the CGI almost seems
like
like
2D.
natural to it. They do have some specific scenes that are 2D and those really do stand out just considering how majority of the anime is 3D CGI. But honestly, in a horror aspect, I think they do a good job with the world itself. Honestly, the anime more focuses on the plot, and the plot's not really scary at all. They focus more on like the world building, which I think they do a pretty good job of. But in a horror standpoint, it sucks. It's not a horror anime
See,
whatsoever.
Dorohedoro gave me vibes of No Guns Life.
Mm-hmm.
Cause it's like some guy and some chick, you know, just like vibing.
Vibing. It's some
Just
scary
trying to figure out
stuff
like that
happening.
mystery, right? of,
Well,
like,
basically, the whole plot is the main character. His name is give me a second. Cayman. He's basically he used to be human, or he thinks he used to be human. He got decapitated one day, and someone put a lizard head on him.
That's funny actually.
So-
Because Cayman is like a little alligator.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Cayman, yeah.
Oh, you know what? They actually did say something about that when like they were trying to figure because he has amnesia. He doesn't remember anything.
Yeah.
And when they were trying to figure out his name, or whenever this girl, her name is Nikaido, when she was trying to figure out a name for him, she said, "You know what? It's Cayman because you look like that one lizard, Cayman."
Yeah.
I forgot to give that backstory
it's
to
funny
him.
because like I was watching the first episode and like they just like you know bad guys in this anime because there's like a whole organization, right? And then like he would, you know, he's like a giant like reptile looking dude, and he'd like knock him out and like he'd put him inside his mouth, and then like there's a guy like that guy is inside his mouth. There's like a guy basically in his throat, and he's at the same time the
And
lizard.
So basically, the whole reason why the
He-
lizard the guy puts him
he
inside,
wants to
people
know if
inside
it's
their
like
mouth.
if it's the guy that
Turned him into a lizard head.
Yeah. So he's all like, he
'Cause
puts
the
him in
wo-
the mouth, and he's like, is it him? And then like the guy, he's like, he'll always speak to like the guy that's in his mouth, and he'll take him out. And he's like, what did you say? And they'll freak out, and he's like, he won't say, or like they'll just like leave. But it's just funny because it's like there's basically a man living inside you, you know?
Kind of like Venom in a way.
Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
just like Venom. But it's like he just shoves the people in his mouth, and they're struggling, and they're all like, just imagine being inside this mouth, right? A
Mhm.
crocodile mouth, and all of a sudden a head just like pops up, you know?
And just says, "You're not the one," and
Yeah.
then everything, and then you just get out of the mouth. Like,
Yeah, yeah. It's like the way they show it the first time. It's like the creepiest thing ever. It's just like this man's like struggling to get out. He's like, "Oh, I'm gonna be eaten," and then like you just see like a creeping
yeah,
head.
you just
popping
see a
out.
head just like slowly creep out, and it's just staring at you, just like,
So something,
"You're not the one."
So something I've realized doing this podcast is I feel like we're the worst group to talk about horror anime because like Diego was telling me about Boogiepop and I was like, oh, so it's a comedy? Because I'm like cracking up with him. He's like, no,
No,
it's, more
it's
like
not-
it's like a thriller, like
Yeah.
suspense. And I was like, oh, Okay.
See, so
like hearing this, I'm like, oh, so it's a comedy? Like,
so
yeah.
that's
Oh,
the
no.
thing. They don't push it as a horror anime. They push it as an action comedy.
Really?
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
see it.
but
It's
it's
action
in
comedy.
it's in the genre of horror just because of the world and where they're in. They live
Ah.
in like this like almost punk style world. Everybody's wearing like spikes of some kind.
Well, that's kind of like how No Guns Life is, and it kind
Yeah.
of makes you question whose fault is it for putting it in the horror category.
Mm.
Yeah, you know what? That's actually really
There's
a-
like
Yeah.
there's times where like you'll go to different like places and it's like you'll go to like it's like, oh yeah, this anime is considered like action comedy horror. No, this anime is actually considered it's like action thriller.
Mm.
And it's like
There's like
a bunch of
slight
different
discrepancies in like how
types. Mhm.
people categorize things.
yeah.
It's kind of
honest-
like the PG or PG-13 rating, like they get one F-bomb.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, they can have one decapitation.
They use it.
See, and so like the whole plot of the story is that Cayman, he's going around trying to find the mage that turned him into a lizard head. There's the whole plot is that there's two worlds. You have the whole, which is where like all these grungy guys live, like the gangs and all that stuff, and then you have the world of the mages. It's basically like the ghetto and like the rich people.
Whoa, JT, you can't say that.
The Hunger Games, huh?
No, that's actually exactly it's the Hunger Games.
Oh, I'm
Where
smart.
where you have a low class, you have a low class and a high class. Mages live in the high class. They go down into the low class to do whatever shit they want. And the low class just kind of have to deal with it because no one. Cayman is immune to magic for whatever reason.
Yeah, they have like magic fingers.
Yeah, so the
It was
only
like
way-
the funniest thing because like the first episode, like
Oh yeah, he's just like
they
Finger!
shoot and then like the chick that she's with just like comes and just like breaks it.
Breaks
and
it.
I was like confused because I'm like they don't explain like the magic finger thing. So I'm like, why did she just break his finger? I'm like, why not just break this man? But yeah, that's where the magic comes from. It's like
It's-
the finger.
And there's also one other place because a couple of characters do it. It can either come from a finger, the index finger more specifically, or it
Yeah.
comes from your mouth.
Mouth.
No real explanation as to why it's those two specifically, but whatever can you do?
Yeah.
Well,
Um,
because logic, JT.
yeah, because anime. You're right.
Yeah, there you go.
It's because of anime. That I guess that really is only way to explain some of these things, huh? Because anime.
Because anime. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah.
You have to have like that the suspension of disbelief, and then just kind of
It's a lawless land.
yeah, you just gotta go for it.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Honestly, this anime, it's not very much horror. They make too many. They make too many jokes and have too many action scenes for it to
Yeah.
really be scary, or even just a thriller in general. What really makes it like a horror thriller anime is just the environment. that
Yeah,
they're
just
in.
what it's. Yeah, I mean, I guess it is
Yeah.
what it is. I mean, at the end of the day, I feel like horror anime isn't really where you should be going for a spook. For a little.
If you want that thrill, I guess.
Mm.
Yeah. We were gonna cover one more anime, Boogiepop, but we don't have the time. We'll probably cover it another time.
No, we can do it real quick.
Squeeze it in.
Yeah, squeeze it in real quick.
All right, but you better not rush it.
Yeah.
You better not rush it then. I'm gonna sit here, talk about it for a solid hour.
Gotcha. Whole
Excellent.
podcast
Tune in,
dedicated
folks.
to Boogie
No.
Pop.
So Boogiepop was actually the one that I think outside of Mononoke actually like hooked me.
Mhm.
Did you watch
Like,
it?
Yeah.
You watched it?
Yeah.
2019?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I didn't know that there was a huge like cult following
There
for
is.
the
So,
the
I wanna-
original one.
I want to
is.
interrupt real quick
There
just
is.
because of that cult following. We're talking about the Boogiepop and Others 2019
Yeah,
release,
2019
not the
version.
original 2001,
I
2000,
think it's
2000.
2000 release. More specifically, just
know
to
what,
let people
JT?
know.
So now this one, going back to sound design. So I wasn't expecting it to look so clean.
It
It looks
I like-
so clean.
my-
I love the animation.
I don't
for
know what it
bro.
is. I think just watching like lots of anime, I got used to one style,
Yeah.
right? This one has like a really polished. It reminded me of like Eden of the East.
It looks.
It has
Eden
like
of the East
it's
is
not like a really flat 2D. Like they
Mhm.
look rounded. Like
Yeah.
it's weird. I don't know how to explain it.
It's like almost 3D, but not quite.
Yeah, I mean like it's
It's just like
it's just clean.
It's like you gotta watch it for
it has
yourself. And you'll
RTX ray tracing. That's what it is.
you gotta watch it for yourself, and you'll understand what I mean. It's just like it's very distracting. It's like you'll see like what they do, and I'm like, I don't know. I like it. That's one
But-
thing that caught me.
So this one, and I'm gonna do a plug for like another podcast. It was the one I got you to listen to for a little bit, the Night Vale,
Mm-hmm.
right? So I don't know if you noticed it, but Night Vale does this thing where it'll be like a show, right? It's a radio show, and the guy's talking, and he's all like, He says like some weird stuff about like, oh, the light above the Arby's, and you know, we'll pray to the light of the Arby's. And then like there's like music playing, and then it like cuts to silence, and then it's like, in other news, and the weather, the dog park, this, and then it's like different music starts playing, right?
Okay.
Boogiepop, I don't know if you notice this, Boogiepop does that, right? So it has music playing as per normal, but I feel like I noticed it only happens when Boogiepop shows up.
Yeah, it's like it's music on this music, and then she'll say something, and then like cuts to the next scene, and it just stops.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's not really ominous. Like it's like
yeah.
sometimes it's just kind of like vibing music, or like kind of like abstract kind of music.
It's like
and then
music you expect when you see Boogiepop.
Yeah, and then it like she'll say something, and then it stops, like it cuts just to straight silence, and then like
or she'll disappear or some shit.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
It's like
and then like it just continue, it picks up somewhere else.
Okay.
And I don't know, there's something about that I really liked.
Yeah.
I think it's just to show that like Boogiepop's character is just kind of like
one thing that like
weird.
really grinded my gears. It was like
You know what really grinded my gears?
was that like there's like certain episodes where like, you know, like Boogiepop basically was sent here to like, you know, to like abolish evil of the world, right? So there's episodes where like, you know, there's evil that some like gets sent, right? And they like have beef with like a side character, and the side character basically takes care of it, but then Boogiepop comes and just deals the last punch. I don't know if you noticed that too.
Yeah. So in like doing more research and reading on that, they were trying to they did that on purpose, not that like she was like stealing the fame or anything like that, but it was like the characters need to struggle, right? They can't just like expect to like if
have somebody just
it's not like don't roll over and accept your fate and die. Like you got to fight for it, you know. And it's in that like fighting. It's like, okay, well, you know, sometimes you're gonna lose. Like just because you're gonna, you know, get up and fight doesn't mean you're gonna win all the time. And so it's coming to that acceptance of like your fate. Like that's just like that's gonna happen. Like people die. It happens.
Yeah.
But then like Boogiepop will swoop in like last minute and
Ex
like
Machina style.
yeah, and then like one punch kill somebody, right? And so like it's a really good example in like the first few episodes in that like the girl literally says it, like she gets like her throat sliced open and she dies, and then like, you know, the big fight ensues and people die, more people die, and then the girl who got her throat sliced comes back to life through, you know, means and then she's like sitting there and she's like, if you were just standing around, why didn't you come and help sooner? And Boogiepop was like, don't be like that.
Yeah.
but like that's pretty
grateful.
much, yeah.
I said this earlier to Carlos. I was telling him like, what was it? Like, you see how like this like whenever you were first watching it, did it not feel like the first couple episodes felt like last episodes, just because like you watched the first episode and it's like, yeah, there's an evil in the school.
Yeah.
And it just like they figured it out in the first episode, and it just like the way the music's like the music plays,
it like builds up, and then
it's like it's there on the roof, and they're like, it's like, yeah, I was like, I killed the evil, you know, whatever.
Yeah, she's like, my time here is like it's over, like, you know, it's been good talking to you, but like the evil's taken care of. Like
I was like,
I don't need to be here
and literally I'm watching this and I'm like, all right, good anime, boys.
Next one.
Yeah.
Roll credits.
Yeah.
Oh, the intro and credit songs.
Great.
Yeah. Great. I like them a lot. But
yeah, the intro, the opening is like really good too. Like,
and see, that's what I really like about not just animes in general, but just like any source of like media whatsoever. They don't just kind of like lead into like the main big event. They'll start with the main event and they just kind of like slap you in the face with it and be like, this is what we got. Better become prepared.
Yeah, and it's a matter of being able to work around that. You know, it's like you set a high bar, and it's like, okay, don't just drop it. Like you actually keep that momentum.
You're
going.
right. You got to be able to not only keep the momentum, but at the very least, but you have to also try to like build off of that.
Yeah, Quentin Tarantino style, where it's just like then you like back it up, and then now you got to explain it.
Yeah.
Is that how Shakespeare wrote? What's that one?
You're
Hamlet?
too smart for us.
Hamlet?
We're talking about anime here.
Hamlet.
This ain't no
Hamlet,
classic
maybe.
literature.
I don't know.
Yeah, because they started with the ending, then they built up from there.
This anime was like super confusing with like the timeline and everything.
Yeah, that's another one that I like read forums on, and they were like, explain the timeline. I don't understand the canonical events, and I'm just like,
your weak brain,
yeah.
man.
That's tough.
See,
That's
like
tough,
this
buddy.
anime is like, it's one you have to put your, you have to put your mind into, but not to understand, but to like experience like what it's trying to like portray, you know.
Yeah. It's just, and I've noticed that's a big thing with a lot of horror animes, is that there's always like an undertone of some type of just
Yeah.
like psychological,
Mm.
like what people are going through. Like in that same vein, I think one can put Evangelion in. Like you can call
Yeah.
Evangelion a horror anime. Like
Yeah, don't even get me started.
Yeah.
Don't even get me started.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, I just wanted to bring up Boogiepop. Like, I really enjoyed it. I think it's really good. I understand. Like, I can see the cult following, like why
Mhm.
it was like hot. You know, I want to see the original one, see like the
2000,
differences,
yeah.
but or I guess the similarities in it. But no. So I mean, I guess that's the episode for today. Anyone
Yep.
got anything else to say?
Yamishibai, watch it at 2 a.m. in the morning because
Oh,
it gives you
yeah.
that kind of
That
thrills.
you give the most effect.
The full
Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
Promised Neverland, 4D chess, but in anime.
yeah.
Yeah, it's amazing. Just
It's good. Watch it. That's really all I gotta say.
Yeah,
about it.
That's about it. It's a good wrap up.
And I just want to point out that it's really hard to portray horror in any other way than like a movie or
Yeah,
TV show medium,
I agree.
especially in anime.
Yeah. So, because again, there's that disconnect.
Yeah,
So
you-
you got to kind of go into it with like that.
That mindset of
I
like
guess-
it's not it's not complete horror.
Yeah, I was about to say lowered expectations. Yeah,
feel
that
like-
fits. Lowered expectations for being spooked.
I
Like,
feel like
yeah.
they should like be more like they should know what to actually label as horror, because
Yeah.
like sometimes like they'll label horror and it's just like, this isn't horror, you know?
Yeah.
This isn't scary. This is funny, you know?
As far as like IRL content, like not like live action content, I wonder how Japanese like horror movies stack up against American, like the American counterpart.
I've seen a couple of them. One of them was called Blue Eyes. Honestly, I think they do a better job.
So
live
there
action.
was
My bad.
Was it-
Go ahead.
Boogiepop or another. Again, in one of those that I was reading about, they brought up Blue Eyes because the creator,
Mhm.
they're the same. And one of
Really?
them, like the director or something
Oh,
like
I
that.
gotta look
Yeah.
into that now.
I only briefly saw it and I was like, Blue Eye, is that another anime? And I like kept going. But interesting.
Hmm.
Well, anyways, yeah, so that's the episode for today, guys. It's been another episode of Bowl of Men. Who knows what we'll talk about next episode.
Live
Yeah.
adaptation.
Ooh.
Don't get your hopes up now.
Yeah, right?
Well, let us know what you guys want us to talk about. If you guys have any suggestions,
Yeah.
at our Twitter at Bowl of Men.
Or if y'all have spicier like horror
Horror?
anime.
Ooh, yeah.
Like maybe
Yeah,
maybe
something true horror.
Yeah, something that we haven't even
Something we overlooked, or maybe something we just kind of wrote off on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or what you
Like
thought about
you think like
these anime.
a cartoon that actually make me shit myself.
Yeah, no,
Or
me
just
too.
something-
I'm curious. I
yeah.
want to know.
Yeah.
But anyways, everybody. So thanks for tuning in.
Mm.
Definitely hit us up at bowlofmen@gmail.com. Let us know what you think. And thanks for listening.
Later, guys.
Yeah.